It's a tool meant to help if you've ever found yourself on the wrong side of the law. But tonight, we uncover a problem with the system.
Tens of thousands of them that are just waiting to be processed. That's stunning.
One city has an avalanche of criminal records that are supposed to be getting expunged. We'll tell you what happened when we asked for the numbers.
We're searching for our next winter storm. We have to go long range to find it. Does it hit before Christmas? I'll let you know in the forecast.
A city council meeting so rowdy, the sheriff is on standby. New at 9, we're inside that meeting as people say they're fed up with their leaders. The big issue they're rallying against. Last night, we showed you video of a neighbor apparently harassing a Midvale family and their children.
You've watched all the videos, right? I mean, this lady is spiteful.
Tonight, how police stepped in.
You committed a crime once upon a time, now you want a second chance.
I can't take my daughter on a field trip or anything like that.
At Salt Lake City Police, there's a huge backlog of people whose criminal records are supposed to be getting expunged.
It's extremely discouraging because I worked really hard to get those expungement and I've changed my whole life.
People wanting better jobs, bank loans, or just a stigma lifted.
Tens of thousands of them that are just waiting to be processed. That's stunning.
I'm Fox 13 investigative reporter Nate Carlisle. These are the numbers Salt Lake City Police didn't want you to see.
So I have possession with the intent to distribute. I have some forgery charges and a lot of paraphernalia charges.
Misty and Manuel Lopez are trying to turn their lives around.
I have aggravated assault that's on my record from when I was 16 years old, receiving stolen property, false information to police officers.
A judge approved Misty's request to expunge her criminal convictions. Her husband Manuel is in the process.
I'm currently in school to get my bachelor's in human services, but while doing that, I work as an intern teaching therapeutic skills at a recovery center.
I'm working on getting my record expunged so that I can participate in school activities with my daughter.
Both were arrested by Salt Lake City Police. In this PowerPoint presentation given in August to Police Chief Mike Brown and obtained by Fox 13, inspectors described how between 16,000 and 62,000 expungements had not been started.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's very concerning.
At current speeds, that 62,000 expungement figure, inspectors found, would take one person working full-time 14.9 years.
It'll take 14.9 years.
Eric Hutchings represented Kearns in the Utah legislature and supported the bills that made expungements easier.
This is just Salt Lake City?
Yes.
Just Salt Lake City?
Yes.
Wow. Wow. It erodes faith in the entire system that I'm going to do all of these things to try and live right, and sooner or later, I'm just going to get screwed.
I represented an individual who had 13 criminal convictions on his record.
Michael Holge is an attorney. In September of last year, he served Salt Lake City with an expungement order.
We have not received confirmation that the expungement order has been processed.
State law says an agency must provide written confirmation that records have been expunged. But this email chain shows Salt Lake City Police have not been responding to Holge's paralegal about the status of his client's records. If the rest of us failed to follow a legal order, we'd be in trouble, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. This is a court order just like any other order signed by a judge.
In Utah, you can go to a judge or the State Board of Pardons to ask your criminal record be expunged. Then in 2019, the Utah legislature passed the Clean Slate Law that automatically expunges low-level offenses committed years ago. The legislature gave the courts extra money to process sealing the files, but no extra money was given to the local police forces, who have their own records. Hutchings says local police need to process the expungements anyway.
They're arrested at a local level, they're incarcerated at a local level, they're prosecuted at a local level by a local judge in a local courthouse.
When Fox 13 first asked for this PowerPoint describing the expungement backlog, Salt Lake City denied our public records request, stating the document was only a draft. But when we obtained the presentation independent of the police department, we didn't find it labeled draft or anything indicating it was preliminary.
So since August 2023, the Salt Lake City Police Department has made a concerted effort to continue to work on the expungements that are in our queue.
Salt Lake City Police Department spokesman Brent Weisberg says a lack of information was slowing the automatic expungements, that the State Bureau of Criminal Identification, which is responsible for notifying local police of expungement orders, wasn't always forwarding information like case numbers.
But we have improved that efficiency from going from a lengthy 25-step process down to a 4-step process.
As for the expungement orders approved by a judge or the Board of Pardons,
and so the Salt Lake City Police Department has prioritized those in-person petition requests. Today, we do not have a backlog when it relates to that.
But again, Holgi still doesn't have confirmation Salt Lake City has expunged his client's record, more than a year after the city received the order. I asked Weisberg if SLCPD could set up a tracking system, like voters use to check the status of their mail-in ballots, or shipping companies use to confirm package delivery.
That sounds like a great idea and something that, if we don't already have, could be explored.
This is an important function of the police.
The PowerPoint presentation recommended Salt Lake City add staff to process expungements. Salt Lake City Council member Alejandro Puy, whose district includes parts of downtown and the city's west side, said the police department hasn't shown him the report on the backlog.
If the report says that we need more staffing to process this in a timely manner, happy to support them.
We were held accountable for all the offenses that we committed. I think at the end of that, there should be accountability on their side as well.
We asked other police forces if they have expungement backlogs. The Salt Lake County Sheriff and Unified Police told us they have a combined 4,400 expungements that need to be processed. West Valley City told us its backlog is about 4,300.
Wow, that is long, Nate. So interesting. What qualifies for the automatic expungement, and then what records require a judge or board of pardons to approve?
So misdemeanors can get automatically expunged after a certain time frame. If it's a felony, you need to go to a judge or the State Board of Pardons, as you said. On fox13now.com, we put a link where you can go to a state website and find out how to get your records expunged.
With the list so long, why is it so hard? You would think it would just be, okay, I see you, I hear your story, delete the file.
Yeah, like we delete a PDF off our laptop
Sure.
or something, right? Well, first you have to find the files, and sometimes, one prosecution gets expunged, but there's 3, 4, who knows how many police reports attached to that expungement, and that seems to be what's slowing down a lot of this process. That 14.9 year figure we told you, that assumes one case gets expunged every 30 minutes.
Well, something to point out here, Nate, to our viewing audience, this report, also your report last night about evidence problems at Salt Lake City Police, relied on reports that the city did not want to necessarily share with you or with anybody. So does the city still maintain that the public should have this information, or should it be private?
The city has denied my public records request for these documents. So the city's position is at least the documents themselves are not public. So we had to go get them on our own, basically. Mayor Mendenhall's office didn't help me when I complained. The city council didn't help me when I complained. But we got the documents anyway.
Mm-hmm. Keep digging, keep complaining, and keep getting answers and exposing things within our system that affect everyday people's lives. Nate, thanks so much.
Thank you, Kelly.
Let's move on now to weather. It turned out to be a pretty nice day. I know air quality concerns across the state, but temperature-wise, pretty moderate. We did see a little bit of sunshine here in northern Utah. It managed to peek out through some of that haze glaze. Utah Weather Authority Breck Bolton is in tonight with the latest. Hi, Breck.
Well, good evening, Kelly. Yeah, we've been looking at that haze a little thinner. We've been breaking free from the valley inversion. One of the reasons is last night we saw a easterly flow, so we saw some of that bad air move off towards the west. That allowed the inversion to break up, so with a little bit of sunshine, the heating at the surface, allowing that air to mix out. Now, near the canyons, we did have those stronger wind gusts. Remember, we had a wind advisory in place this morning here as we looked at Weber, Davis County. Here are some of the reports coming in for the gusts that we did see in those regions. Even down to the University of Utah, we found wind gusts upwards of 47 miles per hour. Not an issue right now, and definitely not a big issue with air quality as we look along the Wasatch Front. Salt Lake Valley, a mixture of green and yellow between good good and moderate. We're finding that same situation there for Utah County, but Weber, Davis, up through Box Elder, Cache County, it is all green. We're breathing easy right now. There's going to be some changes though. But with that, as I mentioned, the valley inversion, temperatures, well above average, getting up into the upper 40s, even close to 50 degrees for your official high today in Ogden, 49, 43 in Logan. Few locations towards eastern Utah in the low 50s. We topped off today in St. George at 57 degrees. So valley inversion setting back up. We'll see more haze. We need a storm to help really mix the air out. Do we see that possibility over the next few days? I'll answer that coming up in just a bit.
We barely have enough to pay our instructors, let alone to pay a judgment like this.
I'm not a cold-hearted person by any means.
A Utah HVAC company was set to purchase a college with Native American ties in Oklahoma tomorrow. But now that deal is on hold. What we've learned.
A major summit on the Colorado River is happening here in Las Vegas. I'll take you inside it.
Jazz play the New York Knicks tonight at home. Can they end a 3-game losing streak? I'll have the highlights coming up.
Welcome back, everyone. A Utah HVAC company will not be purchasing a college in Oklahoma, at least not this week. The sheriff in Oklahoma canceled tomorrow's auction of Bacone College. That's according to our Scripps News partner, 2 News Oklahoma. Now, the school has about 100 students, most of whom are Native American. It was set to be sold to pay a debt to West Valley City-based Migley Huber, which was not paid for heating and cooling upgrades it did there at the college. The company is owed $1.6 million. Well, the city of Draper says there has been an uptick in vandalism in some local parks. Take a look at these photos of graffiti at the Deer Hollow Park playground. Also broken out windows at the Brookside Trailhead restroom. Draper police say they will increase patrols, and the Parks and Rec Department is getting ready to add more security cameras as well as lights. They ask people to call if they see any suspicious activity. Today, Salt Lake County District Attorney Sim Gill invited people to watch a documentary about a different approach to juvenile justice systems. People came together on the campus of the University of Utah to watch A Once and Future Peace. The documentary takes a look at how there can be levels of accountability built into groups of society in the form of peace circles to make sure young people are kept in line and out of trouble.
A lot of our youth are dealing with that toxic masculinity and trying to process how to be men. And so I think these healing circles are a way for everyone to tell their story and just kind of get it out in the open, so that way they have other ways of other coping mechanisms.
After the film screening, there was a discussion with Gill and the filmmakers behind the documentary. There's a new art exhibition on display at the Salt Lake City Public Library downtown. It's called Reinventing Portraits. It features paintings from Utah's Prison Education Project.
This was a class focused on self-portraiture. The parameters were that students would make self-portraits that were not literal, so they weren't showing their faces or their bodies in any way, but how do they want to represent themselves outside of those constraints?
This exhibit will be on display through January 14th.
Water is for all of us. It doesn't matter upper or lower basin. We're willing to step up and take our share, but we have to share across the board.
A major conference on the Colorado River is happening in Las Vegas. What happens in Vegas, however, will not stay in Vegas, as what happens there will impact Utah and other states along the river. Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow is there.
California inked a deal with the federal government to enact more water conservation measures along the Colorado River.
This is not just the start, but this is the beginning of many future partnerships.
In exchange for money, lower basin states like California won't take as much from Lake Mead.
These agreements will commit more than 1.5 million acre-feet to system conservation through 2026, thanks to the historic investments of the Inflation Reduction Act. And we're already seeing the results of these efforts.
The U.S. Bureau of Reclamation says it helps keep water in Lake Mead and further upstream in Lake Powell.
And what you see here is a partnership commitment to doing the right thing.
The deal happened at the annual conference of the Colorado River Water Users Association. It's a power summit of the 7 states, tribes, and others with a stake in the river that supplies water to more than 40 million people. But each portion of the Colorado River has different concerns.
Our folks in the upper basin take shortage every year. We've got shortage even in the best years, and you heard that in spades.
Upper basin states like Utah and Colorado have argued that lower basin states like California are over-consuming water, and they raise questions of what's equitable.
When we conserve, oftentimes that's not compensated. Nobody is getting some sort of incentive for living within the means of the river. And so, yes, I applaud conservation.
The head of the Bureau of Reclamation told states they're all in this together.
This is an all-of-basin approach.
What these agreements do today is it solves our immediate problems, but it also provides us a pathway and ability to get up to speed for what we need to do in the future, which is living with a future of less water on the Colorado River. So far, there's no more short-term cuts forecast, like what we saw on the Colorado River earlier this year. Instead, all the states are going to be working toward a more long-term agreement that'll be in place by 2026. In Las Vegas, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
All right, getting your weather forecast, getting you ready as we move closer towards the weekend, and then also getting closer towards Christmas. We need to be talking about the storms that we're hopefully seeing lining up. Well, we're not going to see any big storms here as we move for the rest of the weekend and the week as well. Now, as we take a look, another video coming up, a time lapse moving across Taylorsville where, yeah, we broke free from the valley inversion. Haze was less. You can actually see a layer of haze towards the Oquirrh Mountains. We had an easterly flow which pushed some of that bad air towards that area. Again, it did thin out, so it wasn't too bad even where we've seen its position and concentrated towards the western side of the Salt Lake Valley. But we did break free. We mixed out, and air quality as a result was pretty good here across northern Utah. So that's the situation as we're taking a look, as it's going to be another day where we start off with temperatures a little bit on the cold side, as we're going to be looking at for possibility for tomorrow, maybe finding temperatures once again above average. All right, let's get to your weather forecast though, as we take a look outside, or as we first though focus in on what we did see for your high temperature today in Salt Lake City at 48 degrees, almost 10 degrees above average. Look at the record for this day set back in 1882 at 60 degrees. We don't have 60s in the forecast here along the Wasatch Front, but we potentially might get close to 50 degrees as we look towards the weekend. Outside right now, temperatures in the mid to upper 30s, winds calm. Those East Canyon winds, we'll see some canyon winds, but not as strong. We don't have any wind advisories in place. As I mentioned, the air quality good all across northern Utah, Uinta Basin down through Washington County as well. Here's what we're expecting though. With the air quality, valley inversion will strengthen for tomorrow. Hazy conditions expected. Now we're going to extend the break where we don't see any storms rolling through the region moving through the weekend, which as high pressure does build in, we'll be seeing temperatures on the rise. Now, where we have an inversion in place, that increase in temperature a little bit more slow, but in central and southern Utah, we'll quickly see a bump up in temperatures, especially as we go into Saturday and Sunday. Now, southeastern Utah, as that low pressure system brought that easterly flow across northern Utah, right now it's bringing the showers as we look in southeastern Utah with a mixture of some rain and snow. That moves on here in the overnight hours. High pressure, the focus here for the next several days. Again, that high pressure will keep the storms away even as we look towards next week. Looking at the computer models, we'll see those showers tapering off by early morning tomorrow, and then the clouds start pushing away. We'll keep it cloud free throughout most of the state, where we've got a lot of sunshine until tomorrow evening. A few high clouds tracking through northern Utah, and that is it. As far as any focus of any storms or precipitation for the weekend, it won't be there. Tonight it's mostly clear, 27 degrees. Tomorrow, again, temperatures above average, maybe a little bit colder because the inversion will be in place, as we'll trap in some of that cold air to start the morning off. St. George, it's 54 to 57, then it's 60s. Dry for the next 7 days, upper 50s Tuesday and Wednesday, northern Utah. Storm free, don't see the snow. We do see the haze increasing, moving through the weekend. We do get, though, back into the upper 40s, as we'll potentially maybe look at a storm towards the end of next week.
Breck, thanks so much. Coming up, House Republicans are moving full steam ahead with their investigation into President Biden. A vote to formalize an impeachment inquiry advanced today. We'll tell you how the president is responding tonight. Plus, what you need to know about a massive Tesla recall impacting virtually all cars in the U.S. with the autopilot feature. If you have it on your car, we'll share with you some things that you need to be aware of. Stick with us. In national news tonight, the House of Representatives have voted to authorize an impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden. The vote this afternoon fell along party lines. It stems from an investigation into the president's business dealings overseas, which they say took place with his son, Hunter Biden. Republicans say the president benefited financially from such dealings. So far, no evidence has been produced to show misconduct by the president. Republicans, however, believe an impeachment inquiry could help strengthen their subpoena powers within the investigation. In a statement, President Biden wrote, instead of doing their job on the urgent work that needs to be done, they're choosing to waste time on this baseless political stunt that even Republicans in Congress admit is not supported by facts. Other national news now, Tesla is recalling nearly all of its more than 2 million vehicles on U.S. roads. It's because of a defect in the system that makes sure drivers are paying attention when they use the autopilot feature. The recall comes after a 2-year probe by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration into a series of crashes that happened while the automated driving system was in use. Tesla will send out a software update to limit the auto steer feature if a driver repeatedly fails to demonstrate they are ready to control the car. Angry residents sounding off. Tonight, standing room only in a Vineyard City Council meeting. Why people living there are so upset with leaders after the break.
A woman caught on video yelling several racial slurs at a Black Midvale family was arrested Tuesday night. Coming up, I'll have the latest developments on the case.
The city of Tooele is facing backlash over new changes to their animal shelter. Coming up, I'll tell you those new changes and the responsibilities that some rescues say the city is passing off.
More Utah athletes will be driving around in new cars, a new NIL announcement from the Utah Collective, and who will be driving them.
A heated city council meeting in Vineyard tonight. Fox 13 News reporter Maithili Gubi was there. She joins us live now with why people were so upset. Maithili.
Kelly, we came to the city council meeting to learn about a proposed inland port here in Vineyard. What we found instead was a room filled with tension with about 100 to 150 people here to share their views about a multitude of issues, from government transparency to the timing of these hearings. Some residents telling me it all just feels way too rushed. Now, people took to the podium to share concerns with some ordinance changes and development of certain parts of the city. They say the city dropped a 200-page agenda last night, and they didn't get enough time to understand the proceedings. The meeting room filled up quickly, and people were sitting in the hallway listening to the live stream to figure out the process and understand why it felt like council was pushing through measures so quickly.
If there was any character up behind the microphones, they would say, this is too large, people aren't able to view what's going on. We're going to do this at a later time at a bigger place and end the meeting just like that, because citizens' voices should be heard. If there was any character up there, that's what they would do.
It's just crazy. Trying to figure out who's right, who's wrong, what's going on. It's just real confusing in the government here.
The council and residents heard about the inland port proposal as well. Now, this could be a 369-acre development in the city. Some residents were worried about the impact this could have on increasing their taxes. Ben Hart with the Utah Inland Port Authority explained they want to work with the community to find the best solutions for this growing city.
I want to reassure folks that all this money is staying in the community. So none of the money is ever going to leave the community. So we're a port to ever a project area ever to develop here in Vineyard. All of the money would stay here locally. None of it would ever leave the community.
so that they can hear it and then they can come in and make comments. Julie Fulmer is the mayor of Vineyard City. She tells me that some of the agenda items have been years in the making and there's still more work to be done, but her priority is always to put people's interests first.
It's amazing to see people so passionate and to care so much, and even on the smallest items, things I never would have thought would ever come to the discussion, to say, hey, look, this is meaningful. And sometimes it's difficult to explain the law or to understand what is exactly coming before you, but just to see that people care, it's incredible.
This was not a typical Vineyard City Council meeting. There was a lot of back and forth, people cheering, clapping, booing, shouting, just trying to make their voices heard and tell their elected leaders how they feel. Now, the Inland Port Authority discussion did not have a public discussion attached to it for this meeting. They hope to have that at a different time and discuss those issues further then. Live in Vineyard, I am Maithili Gubi, Fox 13 News, Utah.
There is public outcry this week over videos circulating on social media showing a Midvale woman yelling racial slurs at a family living in her neighborhood. That woman, 67-year-old Catherine Smith, was arrested last night. Fox 13 News reporter Lucy Nelson has the latest on this developing story from Midvale.
The Unified Police Department confirms for me that Smith was booked into jail on arrest warrants issued months ago. She did post bail Wednesday morning. Meanwhile, the family's attorney telling me he's not sure why officers chose to arrest her at this point, nor how effective it will be. Videos making the rounds online show Catherine Smith yelling racial slurs like the N-word at a black family living in Midvale.
There have been numerous other things, just little comments, but the stuff that really gets to my clients are the comments to the kids. And that's the stuff that really gets to me too.
Tyler Ayers is a civil rights attorney representing the family in what he hopes will be a civil lawsuit.
I believe that she's committed Class B misdemeanors and civil rights violations. So I think the civil rights violations should be handled by the federal government. There should be an investigation, and anybody else who is involved. And that would include the people that didn't arrest her.
Officers with the Unified Police Department did arrest her last night. They wouldn't say why it happened last night specifically and not earlier, but they confirm it was for warrants issued in August and September. Those warrants include disorderly conduct, property damage, and destruction after court docs show she ripped up the family's garden, and for an assault that allegedly happened in June, documents saying Smith forcefully poked the victim's pregnant stomach right before pushing her with both hands in the stomach. Ayers says he worries what the most recent arrest means when it comes to possible retaliation from Smith.
And you've watched all the videos, right? I mean, this lady is spiteful.
He says he's meeting with the FBI Wednesday.
So because it's on social media and it's multi-state, then the FBI investigates to determine whether or not this woman and this HOA have violated their civil rights.
The family does not want to go on camera at this time. Ayers saying they just want peace and for the alleged harassment to stop. I reached out to the Unified Police Department with several questions regarding the incident, including why Smith wasn't arrested earlier. They say they can't comment on that at this time. In Midvale, Lucy Nelson, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A 5-year-old girl now on life support tonight after being found unresponsive while taking a bath. The Washington County Sheriff's Office was called to the home in Tokerville around 11:30 Monday morning. The girl was rushed to a St. George hospital, then flown to a hospital in Salt Lake City, where she remains in critical condition tonight. The incident is under investigation. A base jumper was hurt in an accident in Moab. The Grand County Sheriff's Office says a caller reported someone yelling for help just after noon today. Search and rescue teams eventually tracked them down and called in a helicopter to hoist them to safety around 3 p.m. They say the man was flown to a hospital with a lower leg injury. A paraglider is seriously hurt after a crash in Utah County. The sheriff's office tells us the 28-year-old crashed into Mahogany Mountain, which is a popular spot for paragliding just east of Cedar Hills. This happened last night. Still not clear what caused the accident. The sheriff's office says the paraglider had to be airlifted to a hospital. Small businesses in Salt Lake City are getting a boost from the American Rescue Plan Act. The ACTS Community Grant Program is designed to provide financial assistance to small businesses, creative workers, and nonprofits that were negatively impacted by the pandemic. More than $480,000 in grants will be distributed to 15 businesses in Salt Lake City. Coming up, we will take a look at the problem animal shelters all around the state are now facing as big changes come to the Tooele City Animal Shelter. And tonight is Jewish Heritage Night at the Utah Jazz game. We'll take you there. Stick with us. People in Tooele are upset over changes at the city animal shelter. Animal advocates tell Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser they were left out of a major decision, but law enforcement says it's a matter of public safety.
The days of going to the Tooele City Animal Shelter to take home or surrender a pet are gone.
It is a big change. That shelter has done phenomenal work, and this feels like backtracking like 20 years.
Now metal gates block the entrance as the building takes on a different role under new supervision by the Tooele City Police Department.
We have to have a shelter we can bring these aggressive dogs that bite and attack.
Lieutenant Jeremy Hansen says aggressive dogs will stay here. If animal control brings in other pets and they can't find the owner in 5 days, those cats and dogs will be handed off.
We're trying to partner with as many rescues as we can to try to get avenues for us to get these dogs out and adopted.
Rescues like Whiskers in Salt Lake County that have worked with the shelter in the past say this decision was made without their input. Jessica Vigo says the responsibility shouldn't be passed off to the rescues.
They said on the post that, oh, we're going to rely on rescues, but none of the rescues that I know of were contacted.
Lieutenant Hansen says the city is finalizing a contract with the dog boarding business, the Golden Bone Inn. They'll also continue their relationship with the Best Friends Animal Society.
We have played a supportive role in their facilitation of life-saving programs. And of course, just like all of our shelter partners, this will continue regardless of what changes they make.
Despite some overcapacity shelters having to consider euthanizing again this year, Michelle Dawson says 80% have a no-kill status.
I don't believe that we are in any more of a capacity crisis than we've ever been before.
Still, shelters are making major changes, and Vigo says this is a problem that Utah can't foster or adopt its way out of.
If you have unfixed animals and you're letting them roam, you are part of the problem of the serious overpopulation of pets that we're seeing.
Lieutenant Hansen says this was a decision made by the police chief, the mayor, and the Parks and Rec director. Now, if you have a dog and it gets let loose and officers find it, scan its microchip, and bring it back home to you, you could be charged for having an animal at large. In Tooele, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
And as we go to break, sharing a photo coming up on our Facebook page, Utah's Weather Authority, a beautiful sunset, a beautiful view of the valley with not any restriction from that view with the haze, but the haze makes a return. How bad does it get as we move through the weekend? I'll answer that after the break.
And the Utah Crimson Collective giving out more vehicles, but this time there's a twist to the story. And look who's back for the Utah Jazz. Lauri Markkanen back from an injury, leading the Jazz against the Knicks. Well, we'll show it to you coming up after the break.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a good day. Midweek already, Wednesday. We're rounding it out. I was surprised to see a little sunshine today because we've been talking about all the haze building here in the valley.
Yeah, we've been seeing the sunshine above the haze, but it's been hard to kind of wade
broke
through the haze.
right?
It did break through. Yeah, we broke free from the inversion, the haze, moving a little bit further west, thinning out. It was a really nice day.
It was
temperatures
nice
close
relief.
to 50 degrees. It was. We need a reprieve from this bad air, but it's going to be short-lived because we do have the haze returning. Valley inversion will strengthen come tomorrow, but enjoy it while it lasts, and we're enjoying it right now outside. We've got mostly clear conditions in Salt Lake City. Temperature at 36 degrees with skies clearing in the overnight hours. We're definitely going to be looking at some colder temperatures to start off your Thursday morning. All right, car wash forecast. Yeah, if you've washed it, it's staying clean here for the next several days. So an opportunity, if you haven't washed it, to do so, as we don't have any issues or any chance of storm or precipitation as we move through the weekend. Air quality forecast, what will not remain clean is the air, where, yeah, we were good today throughout most of the Wasatch Front, moving into the yellow, hovering near orange Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We don't shake it up too much. We don't get too bad though, but again, we're going to be looking at conditions as they're going to be staying kind of the same with a broken record where we don't see any big storms pushing through the region here for the next several days. We have been noticing though, as you can see with satellite radar, some movement of some clouds and some upper level moisture with that low pressure system that tracked to the south, now moving eastward. This is what brought those East Canyon winds. And again, under that flow from the east, it's pushing those showers across southeastern Utah, as that will be in place through the overnight hours, but then pushing away heading into tomorrow morning. High pressure building in, it will strengthen, thus giving us a better chance of seeing that valley inversion strengthening here along the Wasatch Front and seeing that haze as well. Now, high pressure as it is in place will be breaking the storms as they start tracking near the area. As we see, no big storms, as I mentioned, through the forecast. But let me just start showing you what we're expecting next week. We'll start off with Tuesday. Tuesday afternoon, we're looking at a storm making its move towards the state, but it really starts to fizzle out. Potentially maybe seeing some mountain showers across northern through central Utah. It's not a big storm, helping a little bit with the inversion as it will be in place up until then. And then we look towards Thursday and Friday, a bigger storm tracking, as you can see, through California, bringing significant precipitation throughout that area. It makes its move towards the state of Utah. As we go from Friday to Saturday, we start to see a better chance of those showers and seeing snow here across northern Utah come Saturday. So we're looking at December 23rd as the target of our next big storm, and it will bring winter weather back into the region. That's far off though. A lot can change as we move closer to that. We'll keep an eye on it, and hopefully we do get some more snow before Christmas. Temperatures tomorrow though, in some areas a little bit colder because we'll have that inversion stronger, trapping in that cold air. Central and southern Utah returning to the mid to upper 40s, and we'll keep it in the 50s in St. George, but moving towards the 60s heading into the weekend. A few clouds as we go from Saturday to Sunday, mostly cloudy conditions Tuesday. Now that weak storm pushing through late Tuesday through Wednesday morning will only bring clouds for St. George, but again, those chances of showers for northern and central Utah will mainly confine those showers towards the mountains as we look towards the middle of next week. Hazy conditions, hazy sunshine Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Some clouds Sunday and Monday. I'll put a chance of some maybe mountain showers late Tuesday through Wednesday morning, but that bigger storm tracking next weekend, Friday and Saturday. But we'll get some mild temperatures as we see afternoon highs getting close to 50 degrees by Monday.
Hazy holiday so far. Breck, thanks. Tonight was 80s night at the Utah Jazz game. That's a blast from the past. This evening, the Utah Jazz also celebrated Jewish heritage. Tonight is the 7th night of Hanukkah. Fox 13 News reporter Jenna Bree shows us how some Utahns are continuing to take pride in their faith amid global conflict.
Folks are celebrating Hanukkah, enjoying a Jazz game, experiencing Jewish pride on the largest level here in the state of Utah tonight.
During halftime at Wednesday's game, Rabbi Avremi Zippel lit the menorah in front of 18,000 people.
Hanukkah is the one time a year where in the Jewish faith we aim to do things in as public a fashion as possible. And back in 2015, the Jazz reached out to see if we wanted to do some sort of celebration during the holiday with them. It's grown by leaps and bounds since then, and we're grateful that it keeps on growing and that they give our community the ability to celebrate in an arena with the team that everybody loves, a holiday that is so valuable and precious to so many.
He says it's not a coincidence that the Jazz have never lost in front of the menorah.
I think for a lot of folks, seeing Jewish pride on that level and watching the menorah being proudly lit at halftime on the big screen, and no one's cowering and no one's running in fear, and we're not changing the way we're doing things, means a tremendous amount to the Jewish community at this time.
In Salt Lake City, Jenna Bree, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, Utah Jazz got their all-star back tonight after missing the last 8 games with a hamstring injury. Lauri Markkanen was back in the lineup tonight against the New York Knicks. Jazz won 3 of those 8 games without Markkanen, and they took a 3-game losing streak into tonight's game. The Jazz went right to Markkanen on their first possession. His jumper's up and good. Jazz, boy, they needed to see that go in. Here's the bad news, though. Watch Keontae George stumble in the paint. He tried to stay out there, but he was clearly hurting. The Jazz rookie limped off the court, did not return in what the team's calling a left foot injury. Jazz trailed by 9 after the first quarter, but rallied in the second. Markkanen throws down 2 of his 23 points. Then it's Taylor Hendricks, fakes the 3, takes it right to the rim. Part of a 13-0 run, the Jazz led it by 2 at the half. Then in the third, Chris Dunn to Walker Kessler, goes up, throws it down, that put the Jazz up by 7. They extended that lead in the fourth quarter. Taylor Horton-Tucker behind his back, reverse layup. He had 15 points. The Jazz led by as many as 17. The Knicks did close the gap, but Colin Sexton with a big offensive rebound and put back. He led the team with 26 points. Jazz won at 117-113 to end their 3-game losing streak. 18th ranked BYU took on Denver. Noah Waterman, the give and go with the Ali Katifa. Throws it down. He had 22 points and 14 rebounds. The big story was the 3-point shooting of Jackson Robinson, knocking him down from all over the place. He made 8 of his 16 3-point attempts to lead the Cougars with 28 points. And here's Waterman once again with another give and go and big finish at the rim. BYU bounced back from their only loss of the season against Utah with a 90-74 win over Denver. Well, more athletes at the University of Utah will be driving around in new vehicles just like they did with the football team in October. The basketball players on the men's and women's team and the Utah gymnastics team all surprised with the opportunity to receive a new truck or SUV. Yeah, the athletes will be given the option to lease a 2024 Ram Bighorn truck or a 2024 Grand Jeep Cherokee. The Utah Crimson Collective will pay for the lease and insurance costs. For the first time, this will also include female athletes.
Football got it. I was like, dang, like, they're so lucky. Like, I wish. And then, like, this happened. I was like, no way. Like, this is best Christmas gift ever.
Having the support from the Crimson Collective, not only within a male-dominant industry, but with females too. Like, we've set a standard now that women are supposed to be equal, and we do deserve that credibility.
My tweet finally paid off a couple of months ago, and I'm gonna get that truck, you know. But I was excited, you know. I'm super grateful to the Crimson Collective. I think everyone is excited and, you know, looking forward to getting these cars.
The Utah Crimson Collective started working on this last spring to get the vehicles in time for the athletes in their respective seasons. Brandon Carlson tweeted out when the football team got their trucks that he was in the market for a new truck. So apparently that's why.
Well, he got it. Yeah, that's great and all, but the girls team getting it is really
pretty
good.
Cool.
That is a good move, Crimson Collective. Let me just tell you.
Absolutely, well done.
Yeah, congratulations, everyone. Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
We'll be right back. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching Fox 13 News at 9. We've got a little bit more. Hope you can stick around for QuickCast. That is up next.